Good afternoon and welcome to the Day After podcast on our sub-show Pixar Sunday, where we watch and review every Pixar film in chronological order. Where today we are remembering the life and times of Brad Bird, the man responsible for The Iron Giant, Ratatouille, and a little film called The Incredibles. Where in 2018 he's released his latest work, a movie called Incredibles 2.
Brad.
Brad, I didn't even think about your name watching this movie, Brad, and then you show up as the first credit.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah, I totally forgot that this was even a Brad Bird. I mean, I knew the first one was, but I didn't really think about it until the credits show up, and I'm like, dude,
Brad,
you made The Iron Giant. You made the first Incredibles.
I was ready for like a downturned watch. Like, I'm not excited. Like good dinosaur expectations.
Yeah.
And then I dunked on this movie.
This this movie is worse than boring. It's insulting.
Be careful with insulting. It's boring to like really baffling with a lot of choices. And not just a few, a lot of choices across the board because it's a fat movie. There's a lot of places you can get an ugly tattoo that's hard to cover up.
Yeah, and all of the stuff that they shove into this obese film is what makes it not boring because your brain is like constantly trying to absorb it all.
I didn't think I used to know what it meant for a movie to be fat. I used to think fat meant a movie that feels too long. Now I know. A fat movie. Look at the percentage of the movie that's actually servicing the core narrative and conflict.
Yeah.
And in that case, very little.
Very little of this. Because this movie doesn't seem to really know exactly what its core conflict is. And when it decides, it changes its mind. It
does. Oh, god damn.
Sometimes it's Elastigirl doing her thing, and yeah, boss girls. And sometimes it's a cute little family comedy drama.
What I love the Toy Story franchise to death. I'm not gonna earn any like hot take points there, but what I appreciate is a lot of these jokes only work for toys, which is why Toy Story has made so many successful toy related shorts. To look at the successfulness of an incredible sequel, I have to look at how many of these jokes only work because they're superheroes. And there's a lot of Mr. Incredible stuff that is just babysitting humor.
Yeah, it's just dad.
It's just Mr. Mom.
That's dad. And yeah, this came out on Father's Day, and I wonder,
it did, didn't it?
Yeah. So I wonder. Well, it came out Father's Day weekend. And so I was wondering if that's what they were trying to do with this. But yeah. So there's plotlines going. You have Elastigirl doing her thing. You have Bob and the family doing their thing. You have Jack and him dealing with himself, which ties in Edna. And you also have
a subplot with not Sarah Fowl, Violet.
But you also have this weird like ham-fisted technology is bad,
but it feels what I don't even know what to tackle first. Let's get it out of the way first. Dead in the glut of Disney twist villains, this is the worst.
Yeah, for sure.
When you are worse than Hans, when you're worse than Dawn Bellwether from Zootopia, I can't think of a single shitty twist villain worse than this.
I don't like the sheep more than I don't like this, but for different reasons.
That's neither here nor there. Take a pui. It's like, oh, hey, I'm Vincent Dever. Oh, this is my sister Evelyn. Say it out loud. Say it out loud. Somebody wrote this name. Say it out loud.
Yeah, whatever. It's not funny, and neither is Winston's name. Done. What kills me is this movie doesn't even have faith in its own villain. She is constantly in the background of shots, like, remember her?
So little of it is her, because what really bothers me is that there's a halfway charming scene where Bob Odenkirk's character Vincent is like singing the old Mr. Incredible theme song.
Oh, is that her brother? Okay.
Yeah, I think they're brother. I
need character names, dude. I don't automatically know the voice actors.
The blue suited man.
Yes.
He is a big fan of the old nostalgia, and that's good. Right. And when he's singing the Frozone, we get a really extended intro scene with Evelyn as she's like clumsily like walking in.
Right. Yeah.
And that just seemed really off, and it just constantly. You told me when we got home. It's not that you saw the twist, but you remember being extremely confused why there are two of them.
Yeah. Well, and I remember the second they were introduced, they're like, Yeah, I'm Winston. I believe they're superheroes. Oh, and this is my sister. Why is she here? What does she do? Why is she part of your company? Why are we constantly cutting to her?
And every time they cut to it, they have this dialogue that comes out of nowhere. It's this Aaron Sorkin wannabe dialogue where they just like, is it better to be a maker or a seller? Well, I would sell what people are buying, and it just goes so fast. And
the two scenes with her and Elastigirl are awful.
Guys, there's a scene after you meet the people he rounded up, the supers he rounded up from around the globe to come here, where he leaves, and then Helen Parr has a conversation with Evelyn. Possibly, I'll have to look at it. Possibly the worst conversation in all of Pixar.
Yeah.
That's neither here. It's your own mileage may vary, but it was so quick and so sure of itself in a movie where this girl had no extra time before this.
Yeah, and it's trying to build up this relationship with these two women for two scenes.
Well, no, it's not. But continue.
Well. So the payoff later of Evelyn betraying Helen means something, but it doesn't, and it doesn't.
Yeah.
There's no pay, and that's well, we're getting to the lack of payoff later. I wanted you to finish your Evelyn thought.
That's it. Is that they have one scene that feels like it should have been after they had several scenes together.
Yeah.
So really forced camaraderie. We'll get to that later.
And really forced boss girly.
Yeah, that's really forced. And then after that one scene, which oh, we had one scene, we had to do another scene? No, you didn't even do the first scene right. I'm done.
Right. So John, I remember the first time we saw this movie, John's biggest problem was the villain, and that's all he would talk about, and how fat the movie was. My biggest issue with this movie is I feel like in almost every other scene, it's trying to be a different movie. Now, you kind of, you didn't like my take on this, and I'm not saying that it's directly ripping off of movies, like it doesn't have its own ideas. No, I'm just saying Incredibles 2 recognizes the world that it's in. It lives in a post-Marvel universe, post-comic book movie world, and it has to try to fit into that, and it tries way too hard. There's so many scenes where, when Elastigirl is frozen in that chair, I'm like, that's a scene from Fantastic Four.
Yes, I just want to avoid that somebody stated this once. You can't say that something is ripping off blank and then list 8 movies. I'll do a general case and say that it's trying to be a bunch of different things.
Right, yeah, it is trying to be a bunch of different things, and several of those things it's trying to be are reminding me of other movies.
Okay, yeah, that holds true. We used to say the boring movie is the worst thing. Yeah. Another bad thing a movie can do is like while watching the short Lava go, I could be watching Moana right now.
Right, yeah, and so I constantly feel like it's trying these things that other comic book movies or even just other movies in general have done that work for them, and because you do 800 of them, none of them work here. The introducing the other supers, that would have been awesome had it been given any time. But the second we meet Void and then meet a room full of 8 people that we barely know, all I'm thinking is, this reminds me of X-Men.
Yeah, just go put on your favorite X-Men. Jesus Christ.
And it's not like the first Incredibles was a bad movie. It had its own ideas and it could roll with its own punches. Make it its own unique thing. I don't understand why in every other scene I'm being reminded of all these other movies. I'm not saying that was intentional. I'm just saying that's what happened.
But this movie is... Let's say your favorite part about this movie was the Bob Odenkirk scenes. The man in the blue suit who's very nostalgic.
Who says that? Go on.
Okay, I got it. Okay. Let's say that's your favorite part. Now start counting the scenes and then realize out of the whole movie, how much of the movie is just your scenes. Very little. If you like Evelyn, 2 scenes.
Right, and so you have all this extra shit. Well, and with Edna's in one scene.
That bothered the shit out of me.
Edna is in one scene. It's almost like we had to have to invent a reason for her to be here. And so you have all of these short little movies that are constantly distracting you from what I consider the 2 main plots, which are what Helen is doing and what Mr. Incredible and the family at home is doing. And we're constantly being distracted from those 2 plots by the other plot.
We are This is a halfway promising idea, put on a boat with 4 other incredible short films they could have made.
Yes.
This Jack thing was famous enough when it came out to show up on Entertainment Tonight in its entirety to promote the movie.
Right. And there's Jack Freddie Raccoon. There's whatever Violet's doing with her boyfriend. Can we talk about Dash?
Okay, yeah, round whatever 3. When in trying to do a family thing, right? So Helen obviously has her own thing. She's a main plot.
Yeah.
The dad is a main plot. Trying to deal with the kids. Violet, we made an attempt with Violet. Dash has been left in the void.
Yes, yeah. And so I see that, Violet didn't really get a lot of time and a lot of attention in the first Incredibles. And so they're trying to amp her up more here, which I like that. She does a very good job. This character's done very well. Dash has nothing to do.
And as a result, he quips, because that is what the writers think that superhero movies are now.
Right, yeah. We just quip. And he's a little kid, and isn't it funny when he says, is she finding somewhere to be angry?
Is she adolescing?
Yeah, you don't treat your characters with respect, and that's a crime.
Which is a fucking shame, because Violet is one of the better written teenage girls I've seen in a long time.
Yeah, and again, she's fine in this movie, but why sacrifice so much other characterization just for that?
And with all the extra bullshit going on, to have her set up with Tony get wrapped up immediately, this movie has no denouement.
No. It was wrapped up immediately, and then we keep talking about it. And it keeps coming up.
The ending scene for no reason at the, going to the movies?
No. Okay, so Tony gets his head zapped, right?
Yeah.
And then, we're like, oh, okay, so that part's resolved. Nope, Tony's back. Oh, we gotta talk about Tony again.
Well, no, that's part of the Sarah plot, that's part of the Violet plot, is that, she went on a date, and then because of something related to her superpowers, they
Right, but it's dumb and clumsy was my point.
It is dumb and clumsy, but more than, even if it wasn't dumb and clumsy, it has the same problem that every single subplot in this movie has, is that it has no share of the total runtime.
Right, and that's kind of our next point, I think. There is almost no payoff for anything in this movie.
Okay, let's do a comparison, okay? Remember when when Mr. Incredible in the first movie thinks that Helen Parr has been blown up by Syndrome in the plane and that she's now dead.
Yes.
Okay, cut to them about to fight the giant automaton who's wreaking havoc on the city.
Right.
And she goes, no, don't do that. And he's like, no, why? I have to go do it. Because I can't leave you again.
Right, yes.
That was a payoff.
Yes.
That was a well-earned payoff.
Yes.
There are scenes in this movie, when they're on the boat and Dad's about to go, and then Violet says something, and Mr. Incredible goes, that's my girl.
Yeah, she says, no, I'm going to stay here with Jack because my force will protect him. And he's like, that's right, Violet. That's what we've been building up to the whole movie.
No, you have not.
No,
you have not. And oh god,
we're not going to go through every example in the whole movie, but just take a look. There's no payoff for anything here. There's no payoff for Screensaver. There's no payoff. There's so many throwaway lines that fucking trigger the hell out of me. When she gets arrested at the end of the movie, Violet quips out, oh, too bad she's rich and will get a slap on the wrist. And then the movie continues on as if that never was said.
Yeah, they don't really pause. Nobody looks at her weird. They just accept that as a thing. And in a movie full of quips, and safe quips at that,
yes,
to have her say that and then leave is totally tonally out of not out of character, but it doesn't vibe with the rest of the script. So why say it? It just trips me up and fucking triggers the shit out of me.
Right, so this movie's, I hope we've explained by now what this movie means by fat. It feels like all of the directors sat down and were like, all right, we gotta pull out an Incredibles 2. People have been waiting for the sequel. Sequels are nice and safe. They earn money. And this movie was really, really successful. And a bunch of different directors and a bunch of different animators came up with their ideas, and they took all of them.
Guys, you're all right.
and tried to make it into a... This movie's 2 hours.
Yeah.
I remember thinking that was an insanely long runtime in the theater.
Well,
This movie is 2 hours.
We Googled this like at the start of our giant marathon here. I was like, "What's the longest one?" It's The Incredibles 2 by a decent margin.
And a good chunk of it doesn't need to be there. It doesn't know where to draw its focus. It doesn't know where to spend its time, and therefore nobody gets the attention they need.
Instead of a flashlight movie, this is a sunshine movie. There's just beams everywhere. Everybody gets a little bit of attention, and it doesn't work in this format.
And it tries to shove messages at your face that girls can be superheroes too. Technology is bad. Corporations aren't evil if they do what we want them to do.
Now you're triggering me. Stop.
And there's all these messages, they don't work, and they have nothing to do with each other.
Okay. Welcome to Pixar Mainstays, where we talk about frequently recurring things in Pixar films that show up very frequently. John Ratzenberg plays probably the best part of this. No,
that's fair.
John Ratzenberg plays a well-established villain in the world of screenslaver and cringy ass dialogue that John Ratzenberger can play just Mole Man. And he's a competent mole man. He's got explosives all over the fucking city.
His name's the Underminer, John.
Okay, he's got a big ass drill. John did a really good job there. It's a bit part they turned into a big part. Good job, John.
That whole scene is awesome.
The Pizza Planet truck, I guess, shows up. I believe the pizza guy that they
arrest as screenslaver.
Yeah, is driving the Pizza Planet truck, and you see it parked.
Okay.
I'll restate that if I'm wrong. A113 is part of the marquee for the movie they're going to at the end. They're going to see a movie called Dementia 113, and the A from Dementia and the 113 make A113. Hey, there you go.
Nice. Okay, so we shat on this movie for a little bit. Can I talk about some of the things I liked?
Okay.
These settings are gorgeous.
Maybe elaborate a little bit.
So whenever they're fighting in the boat, or like every time Helen is in this scene, doing her awesome superhero thing, like the city that's surrounding her is just gorgeous. Even the house, even like this little family house and this little, when they were in the motel, it feels very huge and cramped, and it feels like a way too small space for them. And then, when they move to this big house, you really feel the difference in the atmosphere. In every single room they're in, you feel how large this house is.
Yeah.
So the backdrops and the settings are done really, really well.
That's just a callback to the really nice, let me know if I'm using this right, retro future.
Yeah, I think so.
This like, it feels modern, but everything's weirdly up to date. Like every TV is like a rounded TV.
Yeah, or has antennae. I'm like, what?
For no reason, like it's a legacy lever or something.
Yeah. This is like what the 1970s imagined the future to be.
That is not. Yeah, I just wish that that they would have. Again, a byproduct of this movie talking too damn much is that I don't get to experience these cool settings.
Right.
They're really good.
I was okay with the character animation. You had more problems with it.
I have problems with the character animation. Here it goes. I remember watching, so comparatively when The Incredibles happened, they had to pull a lot of strings because, yes, that Pixar finally learned after 6 films, this is the 6th film, they learned that they can do stylized humans effectively. And they were smooth where they needed to be. They were little, rounded corners where they needed to be to make facial features, and that was really good. These characters here continue to be stylized, however they've added lines that gives this impression that they are characters from Telltale games, and I'll show you what I mean. You don't quite know. Imagine you ever seen A Scanner Darkly?
No.
I'll show you an example here, but Telltale games, I know you've seen it before, where it's like kind of stylized, like it's drawn, but they're like crayon etchings in the side.
Well, yeah, and you notice that, yeah, there are changes to their animation. Like, Violet, for no reason, has bags under her eyes as if she's a 50-year-old woman.
And so does Bob, and even Helen, who has the most convex face. You would think that would be... This doesn't take place 14 years ago and years from then in real time. This is the next day.
Right. Yeah, so, literally picking up exactly where the first one left off.
I mean, you can change how Dash looks, I guess. I don't think... of course Dash is voiced by a different actor because the one who voiced Dash in the original is aged 14 years and your voice does things.
Right.
But he looks totally different. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm just a little sour.
No, and I mean it's kind of weird and it's different. That's something though is I feel like they tried to do something new with it and it didn't quite work for all the time. But that's okay. It cannot forgive your script.
Your
I don't
script-
know that there's anything that can save the script.
You needed to cut it. It's the ship of Theseus at this point. If you cut enough of it, it's no longer the same movie.
Yeah.
I let's just toss out little things before we final thoughts. The screenslaver dialogue is the cringiest fucking 14-year-old shit I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah. Somebody went on 914 and this is deep.
It's backed up because that the screenslaver talks. We find out Evelyn later, but and while she's doing that, everybody else in the movie stops talking, and it's a weird out of character thing. So it makes you psychologically listen for the importance of this. No importance. Doesn't pay off like most other things.
Yes, yeah, there's no payoff with that.
These 6 characters that are flown in from around the world, why is one of them acid reflux? It makes it difficult for me to take your world seriously.
Yeah, and then when you're on the ship, there's like 20 other people there, all of whom have their own advisors, and you see maybe 5 of them.
Yeah, well, even the ones that Void gets Void gets a personality, and that's fine. That's great.
Right.
The other 5 don't. There's a weirdly punched up scene where the crush guy has crushed the hallway down, and he's asking you to uncrush it. And they have this really Buffy the Vampire Slayer conversation.
Yeah, careful with that.
It's called Buffy speak in the TV trope, where like, can't you uncrush? No, why would you uncrush? They're having a very pedantic discussion while the city's in danger.
While people are fighting on the boat, and I mean Samuel L. Jackson needed some more lines, I guess.
God, why are they repeating every joke from the first movie?
Yeah.
Even Samuel L. Jackson's wife comes by for a little bit of that super suit juice.
Yeah.
A little bit.
Yeah, I can't say anything that I haven't said.
Guys,
so.
we're not fans. Do you want final thoughts?
I mean, what bothers me the most here, when I was watching this, I called this movie insulting. And I called it insulting because, number one, it does remind me of other movies. And number two, I feel like that if you trim the fat and dice it down to its bare bones, there's a good movie hiding in here. And you just garnish it with bullshit until it's just an incomprehensible mess, which is really a shame because I know Brad Bird is better than this.
Brad Bird's really good. I'm wondering who actually was in charge, and I'm sure it was money. I don't mean to be shitty like that. It's
Johnny, it's okay. Money gets you out of jail.
Oh God, why didn't they respond to that joke? It's a really somebody once said a good movie has 3 good scenes and no bad ones. We had 2 bad ones in a row, and it is not a good sign when we open up a scene and both of us had a time where we're like, oh, I remember the scene. The scene sucks.
Yeah.
And that's not something that I need to be ready for. The worst thing that it can do, you're insulted. I'm gonna jump on that forgettable train. Ask yourself after this movie, in a month, how many details you remember. Because every scene can be dropped into one of 50 different cubicles, It doesn't work. There's no coherent idea here. It's fat as fuck. I went to bed mad when I saw this movie in theaters.
I remember you and I ranted for like an hour.
Yeah, I got to bed late that night, guys.
And look at this. We got it done in 25 minutes.
Oh, we got it done. I gotta wrap up the next 40 seconds, so we're not gonna do this. Thank you very much for joining us on Pixar Sunday, where we watch and review every Pixar film in chronological order. You guys have 1 more week to go watch our old review on the next film, 2000 whatever's Toy Story 4, before we delete that and get mad all over again.
Why you do this to me?
Because Soul's not in theaters. I have to pain myself.
Don't get married, guys.
No.
You have to watch Toy Story 4.